A whole bunch of news dropped yesterday regarding a Gladiator 2 movie, which a lot of people didn't know was coming because why does Gladiator need a sequel? But also, Ridley Scott's been trying to get this movie made forever, so it's here, I think. Also, Zack Snyder has some really important news for all of us, and I wanted to mention right on the tail end a little bit of animation studio news that I just picked up on. But let's go ahead and dig into it. As always, like, subscribe, comment, all those fun things because it really helps us out. And if you want to keep up to date on what's going on in the entertainment industry with the news, this is definitely the channel for you and for reviews on new things that are coming out. And as always, make sure to visit criticalist.com and find us in the app stores, Android or Apple. We're a movie reviewing platform, and you can also review TV shows, believe it or not, and just hang out and meet some friends. So, on to the news. What I wanted to talk about is this new Gladiator movie, because I've been hearing about this forever, and it sounded like Ridley Scott was just never going to give this up, and I had heard that it had entered production, didn't really know much about it, and now they've done this massive piece with Vanity Fair, and I mean, really, there's a lot of stuff in here, and a lot of HD images, and all this fun stuff, so I just kind of wanted to scroll through it and show you guys what I had seen and what they're talking about. But really, the first thing, kind of which I hinted at in the beginning, is just like, do we need a sequel for Gladiator? Because this is just kind of a weird movie to get a sequel for. And then on top of all of that, I see this guy right here, this guy. And I'm not going to lie. Pedro Pascal, like, I think we've had enough of Pedro Pascal, because this dude is just, I think it's a requirement now that if a movie is being made or a show or pretty much anything in Hollywood right now, it has to have Pedro Pascal in some caliber. He has to be starring in it, because I don't know why, really, honestly. It's kind of reached this point for me where anytime I see him, I just see Pedro Pascal, not whatever role he's playing, because he's really been in so much. But here's the first image here, and it sounds like with Gladiator 2, what this is going to be is a direct sequel. This is actually following who they're dubbing the boy from the first film, and he's now grown up. There's actually only like one character that's truly carrying over from the original movie, and I am honestly, it's been so long since I've seen this that I'm not super refreshed on everything that happened in that movie, and I would really honestly need to kind of rewatch it before checking this out, which is going to be this year in November, so it's not too far away. But Connie Nielsen is one of the characters that is returning and going to be back in this, as far as, you know, the same actor from the original film here. But, you know, also I saw this photo with Denzel Washington, had no idea he was going to be in this. And then when you start digging into the movie, it's stacked. Like, there is a lot of folks that are going to be in Gladiator 2, and I was kind of blown away. I actually even saw this right here, Joseph Quinn, and I was like, wait, he's going to be in this movie? And so I started scrolling through to see if there were photos, and he was unrecognizable, but sure enough, that's him. Most of you will probably recognize him actually from being in Stranger Things in the most recent season, and this does not look anything like he looked in that. So there are things about this movie that have piqued my interest. Now, the other thing is that this Paul Mescal guy is going to be leading the movie, and he's kind of a nobody in a sense. He's not somebody that you've seen in a whole lot of films and that you're really going to recognize, and he's taking on this massive role in this Ridley Scott movie, and it's pretty interesting. I think maybe that's actually a smart move, especially considering how many other big celebrities and stars he's going to be surrounded by. But I kind of scrolled through to look, and I'm like, maybe I've seen him in something, but no, I've literally seen him in nothing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does in this massive, big budget, you know, Hollywood film. But if you take a look right here at the cast list, I mean, there are just quite a few recognizable faces, and I'm curious to see what actually shakes out with this movie. But it seems like this is, you know, in typical Ridley Scott fashion, a very large budget, large scale movie, and it's definitely happening. It's here. You know, they've seem to have made a large portion of it, and it's right around the corner. Now, as far as me personally, I do tend to struggle a little bit with Ridley Scott movies. He tends to, his movies just tend to drag a little bit for me. I think he has some pacing issues, and, you know, it either bothers you or it doesn't. Personally, for me, from time to time, I'm not super crazy about it, but I'm always willing to watch whatever he puts out, and if it's great, then awesome. But also, like, sometimes his movies can be a little boring, but I think that Gladiator is actually one of his strongest and best films. But I do think it's a little odd that this is being called Gladiator 2. It just feels like something that would be called something different, like Gladiator, Dawn of an Empire or something. I don't know, just some kind of name attached to it. But, they're just going with the simple Gladiator 2, probably because they don't want to muddy the messaging. And they really want you to know, like, this is a sequel to one of the most famous movies ever made. But I am just a little bummed about Pedro Pascal being in this, just because it's like every movie, it seems he keeps getting cast in, whether the roles seem to fit him or not. And maybe he does great in this. And I'm totally game for it. And I'll watch him. I mean, I'll watch everything he's in anyways. And I'm not saying he's not a good actor. I just think he's kind of been overcast, and maybe that's because he's easy to work with and people like him, and clearly the industry is pushing him. But I think it's pretty cool that Denzel is going to be in this. I find that to be a bit promising, and I'll hold out hope, and I'm definitely planning on watching this in theaters. So hop in the comments and let me know if you're going to be seeing the new Gladiator movie, or if you're even interested, or if this was a surprise to you, because I did not really see this coming. Like I said, there were rumblings for a long time, but I just honestly did not really think that it was ever going to end up getting made. So the next bit of news is Zack Snyder news, because Zack Snyder just constantly stays in the news. And this is the weirdest piece of news I've seen in a while, because what happened is that Zack Snyder is saying that his Justice League movie is finally getting a theatrical release after 3 years, because it only came out on HBO Max. And this movie in general is just a very odd film, because it was partially his film and then got taken over by Joss Whedon, who destroyed it and tried to turn it into the Avengers and studio meddling, all this stuff. And what came out in theaters, everybody really hated. So then everybody demanded for the Snyder cut of Justice League, and when we got it, most of us loved it and thought it was awesome. And I really, really like it a lot. And I think a lot of people, even just from watching Twitter, people are going to complain about this. A lot of people hate Zack Snyder now. They're over him. I tend to like his movies fairly well. Now, granted, his new stuff that was on Netflix with, I can't even remember the name of those movies, the sci-fi ones, I was not crazy about them. They were fine. And I didn't even watch the sequel. I'm just waiting until the rated R one, because I think Netflix kind of screwed up, or he did, by allowing them to do a PG-13 version. I'll wait until the R, watch it all together, and see what I think. But I mean, this, I might would go see this, honestly, because I really like it. But also, it's a massive, super long movie. My guess is when this happens, it's going to be one of these things where it's like in theaters for one weekend only. And, you'll have a very small window. And so it's not like this is going to do gangbusters and tons of people are going to show up for it and see it in theaters. But I just thought this was really odd. And I mean, he's basically just saying stay tuned for a date. So my guess is it is specifically that, a date. It might be one day, maybe 3 tops, and I wouldn't expect a whole lot more. But it's kind of irrelevant at this point, because we're getting a whole rebooted Justice League / DC universe. So it's like, this is more of almost like just a chance to see it in theaters versus, being some kind of big cultural, touchstone or moment. This is just a chance to see something that we only were able to see at home. But I'll watch it. Now, the last bit of news that I wanted to talk about was this. It's a little obscure, but I thought it was kind of cool, because I saw this image and I was very familiar with these properties. And basically what it's saying is that the Hilda studio, Mercury Filmworks, and Blue Eye Samurai studio, Blue Spirit, are launching this company together, where basically what they're saying is that these two companies are launching something called Seraphim, and basically it's an animation pipeline developed to produce high-end 2D and CG animation. So if you have not seen any of these things, I'd recommend it, especially Blue-Eyed Samurai. This show is phenomenal. It was one of the best things I saw last year. I could not recommend it any higher. It's gorgeous and just fantastic to look at. And so these two studios kind of specialize in alternate sides of the animation spectrum, and basically they are partnering for this. And what they want to do is, what it says is, they want to blur the lines between concept art and production. Seraphim was developed to marry Mercury's internationally recognized 2D animation capabilities with Blue Spirit's state-of-the-art CG production methods into a pipeline that will allow producers greater flexibility in artistic expression and performances. Mirroring the two companies' diverse catalogs, they intend for both adult and family animation projects. So basically they're targeting, $30 to $50 million projects here. So it's not like mega budget stuff, but they're wanting to just help ease companies and studios into their level of animation and getting it made quickly and easily. And I just thought this was really neat because these are companies that are doing really cool things, and to see them partner and do something like this. And so I think that we will probably be seeing this branding and logo from this company going forward, and kind of branded on certain things that they are attached to and helping out with. And I think that's cool because they've been doing a lot of neat stuff, and I'm all for animation, and especially adult animation, because a lot of really good stuff has been coming out lately, and seeing these companies partner for a collaboration of all sorts of things just to help cooler, better animation things get made, I'm game for it. So I just thought this was a little neat piece of news that I would bring up. But as far as today's news, guys, that's basically it. And let me know in the comments what you think about all this stuff, specifically the Pedro Pascal thing. And let me know if you guys are as tired of Pedro and stuff as I have been lately. And also just, if you're planning on watching this movie, and if you think it's even, why we would need a Gladiator 2. I mean, here's to it. I hope it's great. And, we'll all have like one day to maybe go see the Justice League as well. So until tomorrow, guys, I'll see you then. Have a good one.